Hello everyone, welcome back to my mess. I have pulled out a bunch of stuff from underneath my train table as I'm deciding what to sell to downsize my collection. And also I've been putting some stuff back in boxes and opening up other boxes as I'm placing a lot of my favorite pieces in my collection on my shelves in my train room. I thought I'd start this video today talking a little bit about a lot of the comments I've been seeing in social media around the pricing of stuff in the new Lionel catalog. You all know I'm not buying anything from them, so I would like to at least show what I would have bought and what I'm interested in had Lionel had their act together and treated me better. But first I want to talk a little bit about money and pricing. So if we look at post-war, which a lot of people have near and dear to their heart because they grew up with it, here's a $70 2213 WS set from the 50s. So $70. And in 1954, for example, the median income for a household in America was $4,200. So that $70 WS set would cost about 1.7% of the household's income for the year. If you look at just 2022, and one of the highest priced thing pretty much that Lionel had for a single locomotive was the Vision Line Class A, which, with shipping and tax and all of that stuff, would have cost around, let's just say 4% of the median household income. In 2022, that was $50,803. So for covering almost a 70-year time span, the pricing is really only changed by about 2.8% of the median household income. Going from 1.7 to buy something in the 1950s to 4% to buy something pretty pricey. I mean, this isn't even the most expensive thing in this catalog. I'm just using an example because that's a really popular set. And the funnier part is people don't have a problem paying. I see that selling auctions all the time with boxes and everything. They don't have a problem paying $800 to $1,200 for that set. And it's so crazy to me because if we look at modern stuff, and I get it, it doesn't have the history, but it's starting to pick up, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in value. That, people want a set like this being used, they'll be like, oh, I'll give you $1,200. Well, yeah, no, that's not really going to fly, because that set sold for a lot more than that. But when it comes to this, if you offer someone $70 for their 2213 WS set, they're going to look at you crazy and be like, what, 70? Or offer them $35 for it, because it's just so weird. But you're starting to see that shift. And when I say it's weird is because people, like in the circle that I run in, we don't really buy much pre-war or post-war stuff. We want the modern. As I've said, we run to find tables of modern at train shows, and there's very few and far between. And there's tons and tons of post-war and pre-war, and we really aren't interested in that for the most part, other than a few pieces here and there. So if you're wanting prototypical stuff, which is what's gained the popularity of O-scale from some prior N and HO and on 30 folks, because they're making stuff look a little more prototypical and more scale. Those guys are willing to pay money for things that they didn't really knew were out there or didn't buy. So the value of modern is going up, and then the scarcity of it, when I say modern, I'm saying prototypical modern, because it doesn't come up for sale all that often. You're starting to see it sell for a lot more. So we'll talk about that more in just a second. So let's talk about the catalog and what I would have gotten out of this catalog had Lionel not really upset me. So just to give you some idea on what I thought was really cool that I would have bought, I definitely would have purchased the Union Pacific 4000 big boy. Reason being is because it's just cab 4000 and it's cool and it's a coal burner. And this really isn't that much inflated in price compared to the Vision line when it was out last time with the depleting coal. I wasn't in O-scale trains back then, but my understanding is they sold for about 2,500 originally, and then they ended up blowing them out around 1999 to get rid of them because it was pretty pricey, I guess, back in 2014 for people. But now you hardly ever see one sell for less than 2,500 out of the 2014 lineup. And the cool part about these is the blowdown and the pop-off valve steam. So for about, 300 more than what you would have paid for this, 2014 and now, so not so long ago, 8 years, you're staying in about the same price range with more features. It's just, would the quality be good or not? And I know those had some problems too. I have a friend that has 4006 and 4014 from 2014, and both of those have had problems, unfortunately. So I probably would have bought this for sure. And I wish they would have made a 4006 because that's here in St. Louis. I probably would have bought that. Then I would have ordered 4019 just because of smoke lifters. To have a big boy with smoke lifters would have been really cool. So that would have been with, the pre-order discount, about $5,000 at Lionel's losing. Thought it's pretty crazy that they re-released these cars. I have this set from, was it 2016 or 2017? And they switched and messed it all up. Like, I couldn't even buy these cars because I would be getting duplicates of some, and the other ones that I would want, I thought they really did a bad job here because, my set itself was set up way different, and you have several of the same road names that I have on that set. So, thumbs down on that. I don't understand. I get it for someone that never bought them before, but if you already had them, there's not much value here, which is disappointing. Now, this part, I do love that they brought out another Pacific Fruit Express and another Santa Fe Map Reefer set. I have all these Vision line sets. Crazy thing is, these were still sitting around on the shelves. I was buying these sets for $2.99, brand new in box, when in 2017 and 2018. And then I did order the last round. I don't know how many of these I have, but I have over probably close to 30 cars in each of these with different road numbers. Some, I think 2 or 3 Vision line sets of each, and a 5-pack of the Map Reefers. And the bad thing is not all the colors are consistent. And at $500 for a 3-car set, that's getting a little pricey. I mean, if you think about the value of other things you get in hobbies for $500, I mean, I could buy a 70-mile-an-hour Traxxas RC car for less than that. And there's a lot more technology and cool factor in the RC car than a set of 3 railroad cars, right? Also, like that Traxxas bang for the buck, you can upgrade it, you can fix it yourself if there's a problem, and there's hardly ever a problem. I mean, I'll be jumping that thing like 20 feet into the air, and, maybe I'll break a part every now and then, but I just go to the hobby shop, they have the part in stock, like an A-arm or something, and put on a new one, and you're good to go. On these, God forbid you're missing a piece of a ladder or a step, and you can't even get that. And it's like, okay, and then it may come that way right out of the box, and they're not going to take care of you. So why am I going to spend $500 on 3 cars? So there's another $1,000, let's call it, that they would will be losing because I'm not buying them. Then I would have bought 2 of the locomotives out of this lineup. I just sold my MTH Premier, and it's totally unexpected. My friend Keith comes over. He's like, I hear you're selling some of your collection. What do you got? First time he's been in my basement, and he's like, oh my God. He's like, I'll take that Legacy 612J. Do you have the cars for it? And I had the 7 18-inch aluminum cars, the Pilot and Arrow. So he bought those. Then he bought my Dreyfus with the 7 MTH Premier passenger cars. And he bought my C&O George Washington Pacific and its 7 passenger cars. So anyway, I would replace it. I would buy this locomotive right here, cab number 5445 with the Centipede tender. And I would have bought this locomotive with all of those cars. So thanks Lionel for bringing out something cool, but not worth the risk of, and it's the first time this is offered with Legacy. They've always only had it with the TMCC Odyssey, and then you had the choice of buying an MTH Proto 2 version. And I had both of them at one point in time, and now I don't have any Dreyfus. Then, in here, I wouldn't have pre-ordered this because Lionel is always questionable on colors. If it did look really cool, I probably would have ordered it from, some place that had it in stock, because that would look great in my Erie triplex. And this would be my toughest decision, because would I buy the restoration version, or would I buy the war bonnet, and then I would want 2912 with all the darkened side rods? So it would have been that for sure, the 2912, plus either the restoration version or the war bonnet version of the 484. But no sale for you, Lionel. Then I would have bought the Erie Camelback. And again, is this going to be the Camelback? Like, I really wanted the Jersey Camelback, but it turned out to be like a bright, like, I don't even know what color blue that is. It wasn't even close to my Jersey Comet color. So, that's why I won't run the risk of something with a color on it. I didn't pre-order the red Lionel Mohawk either. I saw it in the catalog and thought it looked good, but the red is still, it's doable, but it's still the wrong color red. It doesn't match all of my Pacemaker boxcars. And the Pacemaker boxcar set, the Vision Line set, the color on that is sort of too bright red also. I'm probably going to have to weather those. Then I would have for sure bought these two Kansas City Southern ES44s. One of my main lines in modern era, and Christy's dad used to work for them, so we're big KCS fans. Then this would have been a maybe, just because it is sort of cool, but I've been cutting back on a lot of the Pennsylvania stuff because I went crazy on that early, and it's a great Eastern Railroad and great history behind it, so I went crazy on Pennsylvania. But this I have in a very similar set in MTH Proto 3 with the 1942 war bonds. So it just sort of reminds me of that. And I think that's everything I would have probably bought. Yes. All right, so let's shift gears real quick and talk about modern in general. So I told you I was going to talk a little bit about the pricing of modern. So I'm going to show you, we're going to walk through a few things that recently sold that is an example of people wanting to pay more for modern now. And it's finally turning that corner where, if you bought this locomotive here originally, I had seen this selling all the way down at about $500 a couple times. And this is a third rail Mercury locomotive, and it's gorgeous. I have this locomotive, and I watched it a lot of times and tried to win it. And sometimes I would just give up, and other times I didn't even bid because it already started out crazy. And this is the most I've seen this sell for. This just sold on January 12th for $1,500 plus 19% auction fee. So that's definitely the most I've seen that sell for. And it's just a TMC locomotive without any cruise. So it could use some upgrades for sure to make it run really cool, unless the person bought it just to display and because it looks beautiful. Then this set, I was pretty amazed. The Blue Comet set from 2001 with the add-on 2-pack sold for $2,000. So figure with the 19% auction fee, $2,400, and you're gonna have to pay shipping. So figure $2,500, maybe more. And the Station Sounds Diner wasn't there. Station Sounds Diners sells for almost $500 on a regular basis. $350 to $500, I'd say, is a safe bet. And you know, to see this set sell at more than what it originally sold for was pretty cool. And I typically see this set bring good money all the time because it's, you know, the Blue Comet, and anything Blue Comet seems to be gold from Lionel. Then here's the 4-car set to go with that Mercury, and that sold on the same auction for $1,050. I thought that was a little bit low. I've seen this sell for like $1,600, and you know, really that $1,200 price point pretty often. $1,200 is $300 a car for brass cars, and they're beautiful, and they're not very common. Pretty hard to find. Then this set was crazy to me. It sold for $1,050 plus the 19% auction fee, and I've had my set listed with the 2-car add-on and the Station Sounds Diner for about 10 days now, and it hasn't sold yet. And for not much more money than the $1,250 someone spent on this, for what, another $250, they could have the whole complete set, brand new in box for me. But they chose to buy from Stout, which, you know, they tend to get good money on everything they sell on Stout. So not always the best place to buy if you're trying to stay on the low price end, but it is a good place to buy if you're looking for rare stuff for your collection. Then this one was from December 1st, and I was shocked by this. 2 years ago, you could still find these at like Nicholas Smith Trains and a few other places in this paint scheme, because it's a fantasy Dreyfus paint scheme and just not one of my favorites. And you could get those for like $2,000. But this one bid up to $2,900 plus, you know, figure about another $550 on top of that for the auction fee. So someone paid $3,400 for this Niagara What If paint scheme. So pretty crazy. If it's one of your favorites, I get it. But you know, when I was trying to find another black Niagara, it was really hard to find. And I was watching this and I thought that was just crazy. Then this is the first time I've seen this set sell pretty cheap. $375. Usually the locomotive fetches $350 on its own. So I'm not sure if there just wasn't a lot of interest from MPC in this auction, MPC collectors, but I thought that was a really good value on that one, because, you know, I have the locomotive and all the, I guess, 8 or 9 cars. Some of them are duplicates from the 90s. So the one that was released after this, and I know it was pretty pricey to buy all that stuff. Then I had this set once and sold it for $550 to at the Great Train Show last year, and this sold for $550 plus the auction fees. And I have another set that's brand new in box like this, but it has the 2-car add-on and the 4-car and the ABA. So I thought that was a pretty good value, because you see the engines by themselves sell for like $400 all the time. Well, that's what I have around collecting and buying, and, you know, what I thought about the Lionel catalog and pricing comparing apples to apples. Just, you know, median income from 70 years ago to median income to now, and how model trains have always been a little bit costly when it comes to percentage of income. So let's go downstairs real quick, show you what I've been doing down here. Got a bunch of stuff that I got to box up that people have bought right here. Then I updated this wall a little bit, moved some of my steam around, and I've started making space and, you know, boxing up a lot of these sets. Some things I'm selling and I'm taking pictures as I box it up. Here's underneath my layout now. Pretty empty. All that stuff was down there. Then if we walk down here, I will show you favorites that were always boxed up. I did open up my other Norfolk Southern set. As I said, I sold one set for $4,000. And I opened up my other set that was mint in box. Then, funny, it had the same issue on one of the B units. There's supposed to be little washers glued on here that hold this cover on. Difference is, see, this has little sharp pins, and when this comes off in shipping, the other one, it like scratched the heck out of the top of it a little bit and needed to be touched up slightly, but this one, it didn't scratch up, so I'm really happy about that. So I put out that set, which is one of my very favorites, which I will not sell even though it is Lionel, since I sold the other set of it. Then I did test these Norfolk Southerns. That's my other Norfolk Southern, Kansas City Southern are two of my very favorite railroads and what's on the rails today. Then I opened up my dealer appreciation MTH Premier Proto 2 Kansas City Southern set. Put my Kansas City Southern plaque on the wall that I've had, just bought a couple years ago. Never placed it on the wall. Same thing with this Norfolk Southern plaque down here. So this wall is going to stay Norfolk Southern and Kansas City Southern. I haven't got around to touching any of this stuff in here yet, or reorganizing it or getting stuff out. This is a big disaster. I've grabbed the boxes for some stuff here, but that sort of gives you an idea of what all I have going on. And what I've been doing over my 3-day weekend. So I better go now and get all my stuff out of the kitchen before Christy chases me down. She's been bothering me all day to get that stuff out of there. Hope everyone enjoyed this video around, you know, a little bit of pricing insights and collecting. And I know a lot of you have asked for a list of stuff I'm selling. It's sort of a hard thing to decide what to sell and what to keep because I loved it all when I bought it. But my New Year's resolution is another car, and no sense in keeping stuff I'm never going to run. Past that collecting phase of collecting and just having something in my collection that stays in the box all the time. So with that being said, I will talk to you all later. Sorry for the lengthy video. Hopefully you enjoyed the content, and see you next time.